You truly exceeded yourself. Wow. I'm happy I trusted you with this. For our overseas clientele, it would be ideal if you could go over and beyond and provide this presentation in Spanish. Do you not think? The new female employee had just been made to give a presentation by Mitchell, the department head, and now he was pressuring her to do so in Spanish. What? I can't possibly give a presentation in Spanish all of a sudden, she cried. Hey, did I not tell you that today would be attended by worldwide executives? Being ready for that is just common sense, Mitchell said smugly. But that's impossible. After being instructed to present in Spanish, the new hire, who had been utterly unprepared, was pale and on the edge of tears. I was unable to continue viewing this. Mitch, let me handle the Spanish presentation, I replied. Hey, you, the one who lacks competence. With a sneer, Mitchell challenged me to try. But his face lost its color as I started talking. It was time to exact revenge on him for all of his actions. One of the biggest suppliers of auto components in the United States is where I work. I was assigned to a regional office until recently, but I have since been moved to the company's coveted first sales division at headquarters. Ivy, the famous beauty, was one of 5 of us recently assigned to the division. Mitchell, the division leader, greeted us on our first day. Hello, new workers. The company's elite core is this initial sales division. It is our responsibility to expand our markets by promoting our best items, both domestically and abroad. Millions to tens of millions of dollars are at stake in these transactions. You'd better be careful because a mistake could cost you everything. Sales are the most important factor, and they remain so from the 3rd to the 10th. You understand? Just raise the numbers. Mitchell shouted in a menacing voice, cautiously looking at the faces of the new arrivals. He scowled contemptuously when he reached me. Well, I never imagined seeing you again. I take that you clawed your way out of the regional office. However, I wouldn't be shocked if you needed to return. Until then, please don't make too much trouble. Mitchell was making fun of me in public. There was a sense among the other new hires that I must have made a mistake in the past. I used to work with Mitchell at headquarters in the PR department. I was excited when I first started working for the company and wanted to outwork everyone in order to close as many deals as I could. Mitchell was always criticizing me and pushing me to do impossible things whenever he could since he didn't like my ambition. He has a pattern of persistently harassing workers he dislikes. I was moved from headquarters to a regional office as a result of his harassment. It was obvious that this circumstance was a continuation of it. Mitchell continued making passive-aggressive comments about me and comparing me to the other new hires, as was to be anticipated. He particularly enjoyed comparing me to Ivy and frequently complimented her accomplishments. Ivy, you're truly amazing. A Harvard graduate, a superb worker, and stunning as well. You seem to have it all, despite the saying that nobody gets everything in life. It fills me with pride. Continue your excellent work. With modesty, Ivy said, Oh no, it's all thanks to your guidance, Mitchell, and the senior staff's support. Well, and Mark comes next. What on earth are you doing? Ivy might be able to teach you something. You had decent sales figures in the sticks, but that was probably just chance, isn't it? At least don't bring me down, even though I don't have big expectations for you. You understand. I'll see to it that you are moved even farther away if you make a mistake once again. Yes, sir. I tried to remain composed as I answered. I'll keep that in mind. Remember that. Don't just say nice things to me. You would have doubled your current sales if you truly understood. Do you really think this is serious? Come together. In actuality, I had already surpassed my goals and my numbers weren't bad at all. Mitchell, however, decided to overlook that. It seems that some of the other new hires began to notice how strange it was that I was receiving criticism in spite of my strong work. One of them said, Mark, you're hitting your targets, So why is Mitchell being so harsh? Mitchell is the type of person who enjoys disparaging workers that he dislikes. He's exactly like that, I clarified. In the meantime, Ivy, the star new hire, was consistently growing her sales because of both her skill and her good looks. Having someone as attractive and talented as Ivy in sales frequently resulted in positive reactions from the male executives who made up a large portion of our clientele. Business is obviously all about abilities and outcomes, but I couldn't help but think that sometimes her appearance was helping her. Nevertheless, I was concerned that her achievement may cause unneeded attention or conflict. "You're fantastic, Ivy. You're gorgeous and talented," I said. "Mark, please don't make fun of my appearance. Do you believe that I have accomplished this much without exerting myself? To ensure that people don't only view me for my appearance, I've put in twice as much effort." I said, "Sorry, that was thoughtless of me," after recognizing my error. She continued to speak sharply, obviously agitated by my thoughtless remarks. "Additionally, Mark, why are you in the first sales division at all? Top salespeople make up this team. Is it accurate to say that you increased sales at your regional office? To be honest, I don't think you're trying hard based on your behavior here. Many people are vying for a position in this division. You're wasting a valuable position if you're not going to attempt." "Oh, sorry." I stumbled, surprised at how serious she was. "You seem so at ease and unconcerned all the time. Why don't you simply request a transfer from HR if you're not serious about this?" she recommended. Since she never gave up and kept working hard, it was only inevitable that someone like her would become the best performer in the sales sector, even though she had likely spent a large portion of her life being viewed by others as just a gorgeous face. Mitchell's affection for Ivy grew even greater. "Ivy, we've got dinner with the department head of the client later, so you're coming with me." When Ivy said, "Yes, I'd be happy to join you," Ivy was dragged along to client meals, and this began to happen more often. She was aware that Mitchell was only using her as a prop for these encounters. "Ivy, you are aware that going to client meals after work is discouraged by the organization, correct? It is not something I would advise doing frequently, even with Mitchell. To be honest, you should avoid him. Is jealousy speaking? You seem to be the kind of person that doesn't appreciate informal surroundings. I need to push myself right now. My goal is higher. Don't put me in the same category as someone who lacks motivation as you." My counsel was ignored. One day, Ivy was chosen by Mitchell to be in charge of a big project's presentation. "I'm confident you can manage it, Ivy. Being selected as a newcomer is an honor, and this is a significant initiative for the company's future." "Yes, I'll do my best." The company's recently created EV control system was marketed to both domestic and foreign markets as part of this initiative. The large promotional campaign involved not just the sales department, but also the development and public relations teams. However, it was rash to give a new hire such a significant presentation. Concerns were also voiced by several members of the PR department. Because of her affluent upbringing, it seemed as though the firm was utilizing the gorgeous Ivy as a poster girl. Even rumors of a deeper relationship between Mitchell and Ivy began to circulate among the staff. It was undoubtedly a popular topic, whether it was good or terrible. Since the project involved the launch of a new product, there was an enormous amount of data to gather, such as competition analysis and cost-effectiveness comparisons with the prior control system. One person could not possibly handle it all. Even with the assistance of the development and manufacturing teams, it was still too much for Ivy to handle alone. Furthermore, I was aware that she was practically always pulled out for drinks with Mitchell. She was barely getting any sleep and worked extra every day. Her look was suffering as a result of the dark circles beneath her eyes becoming more noticeable and her face being thinner and more worn out. "Can I be of any assistance, Ivy? I must be able to do something to ease the burden." She stared at me as though I, of all people, were insulting her when I volunteered to help her while she was frantically gathering documents in the conference room. I'm all right. Mark, I don't need your assistance. I'm capable of managing this alone. But I persisted because I knew that if she didn't seek some help, things would only become worse. All well, but you won't be able to complete the presentation if you overexert yourself and collapse. I can assist with any background work or data organization. Allow me to assist you, please. She appeared to weigh the advantages of accepting my offer after giving it some thought. Okay, if you insist. Could you create a chart that compares the products of the competitors? Sure, no problem. I began assisting Ivy with the presentation materials after that. As I collaborated with her, the sheer volume of work became even more apparent. I had the unshakable suspicion that Mitchell was acting with a hidden agenda. All right, Ivy, how is this? I gave Ivy the completed document I had created. What? It's already finished. This is incredible. It's really clear and well structured. Who are you truly, Mark? Me? I'm just a regular worker. But I'm happy it was helpful. But this burden is crazy, really. You would have collapsed if you had attempted to complete it by yourself. It's fine if you don't mention my help, but please let me keep lending a hand. Are you sure? Obviously. Thank you. I must admit that I had no idea how I was going to handle everything by myself. I couldn't let all of her effort to be in vain. I refused to give Mitchell what he desired. We completed the presentation materials the day before the important meeting because I did everything I could to lighten Ivy's load. Thank you, Mark. I couldn't have made it this far without your assistance. No, Ivy, it's all because of your diligence. The only thing left to do is make the presentation flawless. Let's get this done. We then proceeded to the new product presentation, which would decide the company's future. Key executives from major automakers filled the room, and even executives from other countries participated electronically. Ivy gave a polished and pertinent presentation. The crowd remained attentive and cheerful the entire time thanks to her bright grin and polished manner. Her presentation was obviously receiving a lot of positive feedback. Ivy, you nailed it, as expected, Mitchell stated as he stood next to her once she was done. I was sure I could rely on you. I'm grateful. Mitchell, it's all because of your suggestion. Mitchell revealed something shocking just before the Q&A session began. But since we got so many international clients today, if you could push it just a bit further, it would be absolutely perfect. What do you mean? Well, for example, if you could seamlessly switch to Spanish and finish the presentation in style. What? You're talented. Come on. You should have no trouble with that. However, I am unable to. I wasn't expecting this. I can't possibly give a presentation in Spanish without any prior preparation. Suddenly, what do you mean? Did I not warn you that you might have to do it in Spanish? No. I was just informed that I would be presenting. You never mentioned using Spanish for it. Are you now offering excuses? I informed you that today would be attended by worldwide executives. It should have been common sense to prepare for that. But she was only supposed to deliver the presentation in English when she was first given the assignment. She might be able to communicate in Spanish for a few greetings, but delivering a thorough presentation using technical terms, it was not doable. Mitchell, however, kept pushing her into a corner. You can't do it. What? Did you not graduate from Harvard? You'll ruin the presentation and the entire sale if you can't even handle this. But trying to present in broken Spanish would be even worse. Don't respond. You follow instructions when they are given to you. Seeing Ivy go pale and break under the strain was too much for me to bear any longer. Mitchell, let me handle the presentation in Spanish. What? You can't possibly deliver a presentation in Spanish. Unless I try, you won't know, right? Avoid the same error that was made previously. Mark, if you mess up again, I'll make sure you're transferred even further away. I stepped in front of Ivy and started the presentation in fluent Spanish, saying, I'm prepared for that. I began by introducing myself and thanking the executives for giving me the opportunity to present our new product. I then went over the product's development process with them and emphasized its advantages. I concluded by outlining the advantages of utilizing the product and how it would increase profitability, even included some precise figures. The foreign CEOs began nodding and remarking, excellent and amazing, as I spoke fluently. I didn't stop there, though. I went on to give presentations in Mandarin for the Chinese executives and Hindi for the Indian executives. As I fluently transitioned between languages, Mitchell gaped at me in disbelief. The room exploded in applause as before. I successfully wrapped up the multilingual presentation. In addition to the presentation going well, we were able to land contracts with a number of significant businesses. As a matter of fact, numerous clients expressly asked me to serve as their future point of contact. When we were summoned to the CEO's office a few hours later, Mr. Nash personally congratulated us on our accomplishment. Mitchell was there, of course. Mr. Nash, who was unaware of the whole situation, also praised Mitchell and credited his leadership for the achievement. As arrogant as ever, Mitchell most likely claimed all the credit, reveling in the recognition. When Mitchell walked out of the CEO's office, he mumbled to himself, "Well, this seals my promotion. Don't let today's success get to you," he continued, turning to face us. That presentation seemed like a cheap ploy to me. If I hadn't been your supervisor, Mr. Nash wouldn't have given you praise. Remember that going forward, you must be prepared to respond to any request that is made of you. He then turned to go. What a man. Ivy turned to me and lowered her head as I stood there dumbfounded. Thank you so much, Mark. We wouldn't have gotten the contracts if you hadn't intervened back there. What might have happened to the company's reputation is also unknown. I still shudder when I think about it. However, how come you are fluent in Hindi and Chinese in addition to Spanish? Who are you really? Well, at my first presentation as a new employee, Mitchell did the same thing to me. All of a sudden, he instructed me to speak in Spanish. A catastrophe resulted from my stress and my poor Spanish. Mitchell blamed me for being unprepared, and I was sent to a regional office, even though we narrowly made the sale. I was supposed to be on the quick road to success at the time because I had graduated from a prestigious institution. I put in a lot of effort to live up to those standards, but that's when Mitchell saw me. I could hardly sleep because he worked me to the bone. I was sent to a regional office for a single presenting fault after my scores were deemed Mitchell's. I can't express how angry I was when I found out later that this was Mitchell's method of operation. Despite my initial disappointment upon arriving at the regional office, I couldn't help but think of Mitchell's arrogant face. I began learning languages after realizing I couldn't let things finish that way. The regional office was a cultural melting pot, situated close to a major auto production facility and a U.S. military base. The pub I visited was packed with Chinese and Indians who were more than willing to teach me their languages in exchange for a few drinks. And a businessman who worked with the base offered to teach me Spanish for a nominal fee. Rudra was one of the group. He was the one who actually listened to me when I was depressed and first sent to the regional office. I would let my feelings out while we drank together. On certain nights, I would cry when my family called to express their concern for me. Rudra never once displayed signs of irritation and was always there to support and encourage me, even when I was at my lowest. Life has its ups and downs, Mark. Just drink when things are horrible. I'll hear all of your grievances. He taught me Hindi, and we hit it off right away and had a lot of chats. Over road trips and picnics, we grew close and became friends. You're a wonderful man, Mark. You're trustworthy and honest, but I used to believe Americans were superficial. Rudra, I adore your sense of humor and find you to be incredibly kind and amiable. concerning money. While money is important to Indians, we value enjoyment even more. American barbecue is the best. He was particularly fond of American barbecues, which complemented my interests. He promised to take me around when the time came after I told him how much I'd love to travel to India someday for a road trip to explore the country's wide landscapes and enjoy an Indian-style barbecue. We made the most of our time together, and to be honest, studying from native speakers was far more beneficial than taking a language course. That's how I quickly picked up Hindi, which is reportedly difficult for Americans. All of it has helped me become fluent in Chinese, Hindi, and Spanish. Next, I'm considering learning Arabic and French. That is amazing. However, why did you conceal it for so long? Because Mitchell had something planned. Any talented newcomers who could challenge him are likely to be crushed by him. I was one of his victims, and after I was transferred to the regional office, I heard that other new hires received the same treatment. Thus, I was also on the verge of being crushed. Oh, essentially, I kept my abilities a secret because I was afraid he might do something. Isn't it better to be ready? Whoa, I didn't know. Mark, I've been so haughty and conceited toward you. I sincerely apologize. It was me who was unable to comprehend. Ivy expressed her heartfelt regret for her treatment of me. However, Mitchell's actions of claiming all the credit for his team's labors and pushing them over their breaking point, ruining their futures in the process, are unacceptable. It's not acceptable. You're correct. I was sent to this department for a reason, in fact. What? You don't mean to wait. If there's anything I can do to help, I'll do whatever it takes. I told Ivy a secret that I was keeping. The customer CEO, who was in the United States at the time, was supposed to attend our usual meeting with one of our key clients a few days later. Mitchell stood apprehensively in front of the executives, having been assigned to deliver the sales report. I moved forward resolutely just as he was ready to start. Before Mitchell delivers his sales report, I have something important to share with everyone. I displayed a few documents on the screen as I was speaking. Despite the brief muttering in the room, I maintained my composure and started speaking to the multinational executives in Chinese, Hindi, and Spanish. Clear proof that payments from subcontractors were routed through a fictitious account and ended up in Mitchell's personal account exposed Mitchell's fraudulent activity on the screen. A video also played, revealing a covered agreement Mitchell had signed at a private club for members only with a particular business. Mitchell pocketed the difference after pressuring the subcontracted parts factory to reduce their pricing while maintaining the invoice amounts. He then funded secret agreements and extravagant client entertaining with that money. Even evidence of him unlawfully transferring corporate property was found. Mark, stop. What evidence do you have to support these falsehoods? They're not falsehoods. This evidence is all authentic. Actually, I worked in the direct audit department of the CEO. Mr. Nash had taken notice of my abilities in the regional office and my experience working under Mitchell. He had given me the assignment to look into Mitchell's actions. Mr. Nash, who had heard reports about Mitchell's dubious activities, was already suspicious. The audit department's assistance was crucial to the investigation's success. Beads of cold sweat formed on Mitchell's forehead as his face went pale. This low-level employee is not worth listening to. He's bluffing everything he says. I promise that I haven't done anything improper. Even though Mitchell didn't appear to know it yet, it was too late for him to make any explanations. Finally, the client company's CEO, who was seated in the center of the room, spoke out. Mark would never tell lies. His testimony is credible. In this case, Mitchell is at fault. What? One of the people seated in the client CEO's chair was someone I knew well. The person who had taught me Hindi was Rudra. I am aware of Mitchell's standing. His practice of ensnaring new hires and dispatching them to regional offices is well known. Our company will not be working with Mitchell since I don't trust him. But what will your business do, Mr. Nash? Yes, we will carry out a comprehensive investigation and deal with Mitchell as necessary. Rest assured, please. I understand. If so, I hope you'll designate a better candidate moving ahead. Of course. Think of it as completed. Mitchell departed the room as if it were the end of the world after Mr. Nash's statement, his face a picture of defeat. In hindsight, Rudra undoubtedly already knew who I was, even if I was unaware that he was the CEO of a significant automaker. He had paid close attention to my tirades about Mitchell during our drinking sessions, I recall, and he had asked more questions than most people would want to hear. Following the meeting, Rudra gave me a cool thumbs up. In a cunning move, I gave Rudra the thumbs up as well. With smiles on our faces, we both walked out. I later gave the audit department all of the supporting documentation. The bogus claims were thoroughly investigated, and Mitchell's misdeeds were made public. Mitchell had warned the factory manager that if they didn't slash their PR prices, he would cut back on their orders. Feeling helpless, the manager cooperated and took part in the false allegations. Mr. Nash put Mitchell on disciplinary leave and demoted him after discovering the full scope of his behavior. When asked, Mitchell acknowledged that he was worried about new hires challenging his job. He destroyed promising rookies before they could pose a threat because of this. Mitchell, why would you do this? Hey, my concern would be incomprehensible to you future stars. I believed I could earn some extra cash from the plant because I required outcomes to keep my job as department head. That seems empty, doesn't it? I put in a lot of work after you sent me away and returned here. However, how about you? You didn't put forth any meaningful effort. All you did was destroy talented new hires. Now, what have you got to show for it? He fell silent. I'm going to work hard on myself to reach a greater altitude. You know you're cheating, don't you? Because you won't leave anything for me. Soon after, Mitchell permanently left the company, biting his lip in disgust. I was expressly asked to serve as Rudra's company's point of contact. Naturally, Rudra and I are still close friends and equals now. I was formally elevated to sales department head in recognition of my contribution to exposing Mitchell's dishonesty. Mark, congrats on your advancement. Your diligence is a true inspiration to me. Please keep directing me. Wherever you go, I'll follow you. Respected Ivy put a lot of effort into honing her language and sales abilities. She follows me around because she wants to know how I approach sales. She soon began working with me for so long that she stopped coming home and instead stayed at my house. We eventually began dating, and she is now my amazing wife. Being sent to the regional office wasn't a significant setback in my life, as I had previously believed. I needed that transfer in order to be successful. All obstacles, even failures, are but stepping stones to achievement. There are no quick fixes for reaching your objectives. The best way to succeed is to work consistently and steadily each day. You don't have to hurry. I'll keep moving forward in life, one step at a time, and remaining loyal to who I am.